No, that was just a session.
Well, hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
To March 23rd, 2026, EHA regular meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and do roll call. Vice Chair Andrews,
Present.
Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Manzel,
Present.
Commissioner Perez,
Present.
Commissioner Trainer.
Yes.
We're going to start out right away with the election of officers, and we are going to do the re-election of Commissioner Paul Manzel. Then I need a motion to re-elect Paul Manzel as a commissioner.
Second.
A second, okay. All those in favor? Any those things?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? So Paul, we have an oath for you to set on the slip, okay? So this is the oath of the Commissioner of the Housing Authority of the City of Everett, Washington. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Washington, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Commissioner of the Housing Authority of the City of Everett,
City,
Washington,
Washington.
according to the best of my ability.
According to
Okay, thank you. Okay. So I believe we'll have to have this first. And then at this time, we have public comments. So I'm going to call for public comment. We did have one submitted that's gone to management as well. We're hearing none. He said he didn't. He didn't. Yeah. Are there any communications today? No. Good. And next we have the executive director's report. Nice, Sarah.
Okay. So the biggest update I wanted to give, and this is probably going to be a little bit regular, is the federal updates. They've been a hot topic every time. Not a lot going on right now, nothing new that hasn't, that has come down or has surprised us or shocked us, but I did want to give an update on funding levels. So, you might recall that Congress appropriated through the Transportation and Housing and Urban Development Appropriation for THUD bill, funding for public housing authorities at 2025 levels, which was fantastically much better than what was proposed in the president's skinny budget in early 2024, but still doesn't keep up with the levels that we need. So we're thrilled. But we still don't exactly know what that means for our budget, because HUD still has to release its inflation and proration numbers to have the exact formula. We are definitely keeping an eye, particularly in the housing choice voucher budget, because that is our largest program where most of our funding flows through, and we've been in shortfall for a few years, and basically what that means is we spend every ounce of resource that we get serving the community, so much so that we run out usually in December and have to ask for additional funds, which we have historically always been awarded, so we don't have to remove anyone's subsidy or shortchange any landlords. And that shows HUD that we've got the need and the ability to effectively spend the funding, and we've got room for more. So we're keeping an eye on that. Right now it's close. We may get out of shortfall this year. We're keeping an eye on it, but it really, yes. The team has done an amazing job at really looking at that budget and mitigating wherever they can to get us as close to zero without going over is the name of the game there. So depending on those levels, if HUD gives us the same inflation and proration percentages that they did in 2025, we'll be out of shortfall. We don't know that they're going to do that, but it's one assumption. So we'll keep you updated. And that's really all we can do. last board meeting, I let you all know that we had applied through state capital. I'm switching subjects now, by the way, to the Baker Heights demolition. We were seeking capital funding from the state, and June Robinson sponsored that. We were not awarded that, unfortunately. It's a tight budget year, and the projects that were awarded funding were either emergencies or would be closed out with the funding award. So if we're gonna go in next year for it, and also in the meantime, there are 3 other opportunities through federal congressional discretionary funding through Senators Cantwell and Murray, and as well as Representative Peterson. So we're putting in congressional direct discretionary spending for applications for all 3 of those for 1.7 million, as well as our $4 million brownfield cleanup grant. So hopefully we'll have some good news at the next board meeting to see if we got any or all of those. We'll keep you updated. And then the last update that I have is I wanted to give you all an update on the department action plans. So on my very first day as the AG here, I had a all staff meeting or I asked the staff what was important to them, the most important thing for them, for me to know as I come in, and they said they wanted transparent communication, to build trust through transparent communication. So that's been at the top of my radar and in a lot of the decision making that we've been doing, and we meet as a senior team twice a month to go over things, and I've been getting feedback at multiple different levels for what's important for this agency and bringing that information back to the senior team. And what the senior team is doing is they're putting together, based on the feedback that they've heard, directly relevant to the feedback that we've heard, a 12 to 18 month action plan on the priorities that community stakeholders had, local leadership, staff at all levels, residents, other partnering agencies, and they have prioritized their lists. We are in our last stages of finalizing those action plans. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll them out publicly at another town hall for all staff to hear what each department is prioritizing. And then we are going to also report on the progress of those priorities in a regular, transparent way. That town hall where we roll those out is going to be April 14th at 1 p.m. At the Baker Community Hall. So we're really excited about that. We're also going to publish them. We'll send them out electronically, and we will have regular updates on those. So I'm really proud of the team. They have done a phenomenal job listening. That was the first step to understand. And now we're going to turn that into action. So with that said, they have some reports, I think, and I'll leave that to you because you're running this meeting, but they have some wonderful updates on what they've been doing. Any questions on any of that before we move on the agenda?
Was the town hall we can attend?
Yes, absolutely. I can get an invite sent out to you.
All right, we'll move next to the senior leadership.
I have a public comment, please.
Ooh, we have,
No, not that, on your report on federal, the airports are still clogged and ice has been put in there. So, for information for all of us.
the first report we have is property management, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You have a comprehensive report from me covering a lot of different metrics, but I'm going to cover occupancy, move-outs, and average unit turnover today. On a quarterly basis, we'll give the comprehensive report, but please let me know if you have any questions. So our first metric that we're looking at is occupancy. And you may remember from last month, Linda Baines, our compliance manager, provided these numbers, and we are typically holding steady at around 98%, which is a great number to see. Our goal is 98%. Snohomish County's average right now is around 95%. So we're doing really well in this area. And I think you'll see from month to month that we hold pretty steady in this area. Nonetheless, I've got a few things to point out. One is under that top portfolio, under Kathy, around three properties down, you'll see Lakeview Terrace Apartments. We've got one unit that's vacant there out of 21 units. So that really does skew the number there. It brings us down further than we'd like to see. We've got a little bit of an electrical project happening at that unit, so we are waiting for bids to come back on that project. I'm hoping that you won't see this next month. You may, so I just want to give you a little bit of fair warning there. It kind of depends on the contractor's schedule and the scope of the work there as to how long that'll be kind of hanging out. The next would be at the bottom of Kathy's portfolio there, Madrona Square. And you may have also remembered from previous report outs that we have been as low as 89% occupancy in that property. And we are now up to 93%, over 93%. Those 7 units that you see there as being vacant are now, as of today, down to around 3 or 4. So that is a completely brand new team at Madrona Square, brand new, with the senior property manager who is at the helm, really getting things into shape there, and occupancy is one of them. So it's been a steady, slow lift from her, but that team is in place now, and they're really energized around occupancy. And so these numbers will continue to look much better in future meetings. And then the third one I'll just point out is under Kayla's portfolio, the second portfolio, about 4 properties down. That's our Oaks apartment. And we have 1 vacancy there out of 12 total units. So again, that's a smaller property. So our number is going to look low there. And she is working on getting that unit filled through TMIS. I also want to point out that several of our teams reached 100% occupancy in their properties. Some multiple properties within the same portfolio in Q1 of this year. So there's a lot of energy and buzz around occupancy. It's an area that we already do very well in, but it seems to be a renewed interest and desire for folks to really keep those occupancy numbers up. So we're happy to see that. All right, and the next item I'll report on is reasons for move out. So we had 11 move outs in the month of February. 7 of those move outs were from our senior properties, and represent, pretty heavily on the senior properties. And kind of when you look at that summary below that report, you can see the reasons for these move outs. We had 5 of our tenants, unfortunately, who did pass away in those senior properties. We had 1 who needed a reasonable accommodation, so that may or may not have been a transfer to a different unit. And then we had 1 tenant who needed a higher level of care. And so that means they really need to move out, and they need to seeing a higher level care facility. Any questions about move outs or occupancy so far? Okay. And the next thing I'll report on is our average unit turnover period. So the average unit turnover period is the time from the time we receive the keys from the tenant to the time we re-rent the unit. And the goal there is no more than 90 days. And to further break that down, we want to see a unit turn, the time that maintenance has a unit, no more than 30 days. So we have a really compressed period of time in order to get sometimes really heavy units turned in a very short period of time. And that is obviously to maximize rent revenue. We want to maximize our compliance to all of our funders and Washington State Housing Department of Finance and all of our folks who oversee these properties. So generally we do well in this area. You can see that in February, Madrona Square had 198 days of a unit turn for some 1-bedroom units. Those have all been leased. Okay, so you won't see these on the report next month. But I did also just mention that we have a brand new team. So there have been a lot of turnover in that team and a lot of learning to take place in a very short period of time. So we're seeing the fruits of our labor in training and getting people sort of enmeshed in the team. Silverview also had a 200-day unit turnover period. That unit has also been leased. And again, that was, some staffing and oversight, that has been remedied at this point. And then overall average, unit turn time, 150 days. So we are really working to get these teams solid, making turnover period a priority and occupancy and get that number back down to 90. Any questions? All right, and then I have one more thing to report on that isn't metrics. It's something much more fun, in my opinion, and that has to do with a special partnership and project that has been formed kind of by surprise. And this is between Everett Housing Authority and Evergreen Goodwill. So Evergreen Goodwill has a fantastic facilities maintenance training program at their building in Marysville. And one day during lunch with a colleague from down the street at Cocoon House, she mentioned she's with their workforce sector of that organization. And I was talking to her about how hard it is to get trades positions filled. We've really been struggling with that. And this is just nationwide, really, really an issue. And so she mentioned this training program. So selfishly, our maintenance manager and I talked about this as maybe this is a potential pipeline for us to hire people when we're struggling so hard. Clint went out and visited with the instructors from this program, and over a series of meetings, what he and they discovered is this mutual need and desire to promote the trades and to the conversation was sort of hovering over also this workforce development and self-sufficiency conversation too. They didn't really know what it was, I think, to begin with. But through that series of meetings, Clint to, hey, do you want to teach our students a course or two and pilot this and see where it goes? And Clint was more willing to do that. I think I was a little bit more hesitant, just not knowing, if we were going to have the capacity to do that, but we went for it. And that was in the fall of 2025. And the way that rolled out is the Goodwill instructors transported their students out to either a vacant unit, a real-time vacant unit, so that the students could see what it means to fix the appliances, do the flooring, and all the parts and pieces. And or they would be transported to our facilities maintenance building, where you can see in this bottom left picture, we have all kinds of hands-on tools and exercises that students can participate in to get that additional training. So Clint did this in the fall for that first cohort. He absolutely loved it. They absolutely loved him. And they've invited him back for this spring cohort. So he is back doing this work. He's expanded his curriculum to include key lock changes and key cutting, which is it's a full-time job and a huge endeavor in and of itself. So they're getting expanded curriculum through Clint. And we've expanded the curriculum to include soft skills, like what to expect when you get that job. What does your supervisor expect? What does it mean to have, to be a good communicator? And all those soft skills that maybe Clint isn't providing, now I can step in and provide that. And we did a pilot on that last week, and that went over swimmingly. That was really great. So this thing happened by accident. We have a real formal MOU between us and Goodwill, and we're growing and expanding the partnership. And it's just organic and very hands-on and it feels very grassroots, although Goodwill has had this program and they've done a lot of building around it as well. So we've realized that we have a role in this, and the role is other than where is the pipeline for the trains. The role is continuing with our mission, the EHA's mission of self-sufficiency and contributing to workforce development, where maybe we didn't think that we had that before in our little department, you know. So this has just been such a thrilling ride with goodwill, and I see future cohorts being expanded and our role in this being expanded as well. We've just had such a good time. So I wanted to bring that good news to you, and you can see these pictures of Clint teaching these courses hands-on in the facility shop, and in some of our vacant units as well. Any questions?
So I'm with KRB Concepts, we're the other half of this program. So you guys have them half of the time, we have them the other half of the time.
Yeah,
And it's been a fantastic program.
yeah.
We've had 8 of them and we run through our carpenter side and, yeah, thank you for the shout out.
Yeah.
It's a great program. Great program.
Fantastic, and the students were so engaged, they have been so engaged in these courses,
Mhm.
yeah.
Love this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is so,
Love it.
it's fun for them to see the different aspects, you know, in construction, because it's so varied, right? It could be making boards together one day and you said soft skills
Yes.
next, but we run through design on our side, cabinetry, where that might be, and, yeah, it's been really good.
It's great to hear. It's good. Nicely done, thank you.
So if you're finished, our next report out is from Reynolds.
All right, Human Assistance Department. So updated numbers for the month of February. So as you can see on the report here, the first part here is just regarding our utilization through our different programs. Breaking it down to our housing choice vouchers, our project-based vouchers, between both EHA and our non-EHA, so working with the other agencies that we have contracts with. Our mainstream, that is a separate pot of money and for the time being, and our emergency housing choice vouchers, also a separate pot of money. And also for the time being, since that program will be sunsetting closer toward the end of the year. Just a note on the mainstream with our funding that we aren't quite sure how much, excuse me, that will be for 2026. We have learned that HUD will be rolling in our mainstream funding with our regular HCV funding. For this funding. So a little bit different than it's always been. Of course, reporting on the program will still remain separate. So we'll still have that information separately. We'll see how it all works with the funding pot of money that we'll get. And so overall for our housing choice voucher program, we're currently leased at about 93% utilization. And really that's due to the funding that we receive and our increase per unit cost. And of course, the prorates that also come down from the funding that keep us within only being able to house currently 93% of our vouchers. Still trying to stay out shortfall.
Do you have the national average, Melanie?
I do on this one, I think the national average from the last one, I want to say was about 88%, so we're doing better than national.
Yes.
All right, for the second column here for the waiting list success, we currently don't have any information for that because since we haven't been able to pull from our waiting list for the past few years, we don't have information on the successes, of course. As I reported last month, we have about 311 applicants on our waiting list that have been hanging out there, which of course doesn't quite show the need for the housing in the area. The need is currently way higher than what we have and what we've been able to offer to people, just due, unfortunately, to our funding. And then next we have just some certifications, so actions that are being processed by our specialists each month. Each month, there's a certain number of annual recertifications that must be done for our clients. Many clients also have what we call interim recertifications, so that's when something in their household changes. It could be income, family composition, rent increases. And then also for moves there. So throughout the department, we're processing a high volume of these certifications each month. Of course, in addition to all the work of gathering information from clients and working with landlords, and getting inspections completed. Down below that is just our attrition, for people going off the program. A little bit more information on what we're seeing as to why households are going off the program. And again, our attrition remains at a very low rate. So that doesn't help with being able to, of course, put new people on our program. Our next section there is for our family self-sufficiency program that we are ramping up. So we currently, as of the month of February, have 43 households enrolled in their family self-sufficiency program, with another 25 applications getting ready to be enrolled, hopefully around the beginning of April, getting us closer to our deadline of trying to have 76 households in the FSS program by July 6th, so that we're able to then apply for an additional FSS coordinator and get another grant to continue enrolling participants.
I just have a question regarding that. How many graduate from the FSS program? 43 inbound and 41, what do you got? 84 of them sitting there?
So actually that's, it's just base, it's gone up a couple in the
Oh,
month
it's
of
two more.
February,
Okay.
yeah. There's usually about, I would say over the last year, we probably had about 6 graduations. And so great things, you know, people have been able to start businesses, yeah, which has been really helpful for people and continue their self-sufficiency.
It's fantastic, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the next section there is just on our funding, which again, we're not sure exactly what that's gonna be for 2026. So we've just put in some estimates on what our funding would be. Our average cap just for our HCB program is a little over 50,000 a month. And then our other programs are sending out for mainstream about 205,000, and then for the EHB program at almost 113,000 per month. We do receive administrative fees for the work that we do on those programs. And we've made a slight change to how we were paying some of our other programs. We had originally set up a local non-traditional program, which we call an L&T, that was coming out of our HAP funds to help pay for our family services. And so as of the beginning of this year, we have made a change on that. So that's not coming out of our HAP money any longer, which is great for our program, and will be coming out of our admin fees instead. And that's just the same with some other administrative expenses that we had previously set up that way as well. So hopefully that will also help with our HAP funds and remaining out of shortfall. And then just some additional factors for the EHA PBB vacancy loss relates to what Erica was talking about with some of our EHA units that are under project-based assistance in those unit terms. We are able to pay up to 60 days of vacancy loss on those specific units. And so for February, we paid $12,225. These numbers have come down since last year. So you can see the efforts on the occupancy there, which is really helpful. Our per unit cost, which we call our PUC, continues to slightly increase, very small between January and February. But overall, it just continues to increase. And then for our 2 other programs, our mainstream and our EHB, you can see those per unit costs for those programs are quite a bit higher than just the regular HCB program. And with project-based, those ones are typically lower, and that's due to some of the, because of the rent structures for our own units, and then also our partner agency units, rents are kept fairly low and affordable. Let's see, so we've definitely talked about that, and just some other quick information for the department. I was recently appointed to the Partnership to End Homelessness Board through Snohomish County. And so that's really great of connecting with the folks on that board and learning more about what we can do throughout the community to help end this homelessness. And then I had also given a presentation for Snohomish County Department of Developmental Disabilities on a resource fair for housing options, which had a great turnout. And there was a lot of great resources there too, just for families dealing with. And then also I did approve the two, making things work, as we call our moving to work program waivers that we had applied for. And so that's fantastic. And I'll have a section in here to have you approve the updates to our admin plan for those. And then just lastly, the department has hired 2 new specialists, Grace, and then we also went ahead and hired Casey, who you've probably met from the front desk. And looking forward to having her join our team as we continue to grow and serve our clients.
Any questions? Okay, well, now move to the finance report. No, maybe I talked too softly. I apologize. We are now moving to the finance report. And then.
Like, sorry.
That's like, that's the presentation. So or should we start with these items? First? Or unless they are big on the agenda.
So, Shamshed, are you doing a presentation on your consent agenda items as well?
No.
No, okay. Then I would just do your senior report at this time.
Yes, so senior report is the PowerPoint presentation.
I don't think I have that. Is it in here?
It is, it should be, yeah. I know.
So let me know what page.
No. Yes, keep pushing there.
So this is all. There's this.
So maybe, maybe I can start with this and you can ask Sharon, she can send it to you in the week.
Sure.
Yes. I don't know. Okay, so I'll start. This is the consent agenda. Every month we present the summary of disbursements, the checks, the EFT payments that the agency has written, because under the state law, the Board of Commissioners is required to approve all the payments made by the agency. So this is a summary of the disbursements, and after that, a more detailed information also is given, which just a consent agenda item so that the board can approve. That's it. That's it on this one.
Everything else is.
Everything else is this, because the first page is the summary page, which we have introduced for this time, but otherwise, all these are the check details, all the checks that are written, and this report goes lots of pages, 20, 30 pages. So moves to the resolution on the capital assets.
Sure. Sorry. I'll move to the rest. She sent it to me. You want me?
But let's continue, since we are in here, let's finish this. This shouldn't take that long. Now, these are the checks. Yes, this is the resolution. Okay.
Thank you.
So here we are requesting a change in our capital assets capitalization policy. Previously, it used to be $5,000. It is $5,000 right now. But recently, OMB under 2 CFR 200 has increased this limit from $5,000 to $10,000. So this is an efficiency gain, because, capitalizing each item between 5,000 and 10,000 also is a lot of work to track it in our fixed asset register, depreciate it, take physical inventory. So we did want to take full advantage of this OMB new provision, and we want to increase the limit to 10,000. Now, technically, this applies only to the federal funds that we receive. It does not apply to the EHA owned properties or the tax credit properties, but we want to extend it to every place. The reason being that it would be more consistent and more efficient to have one policy across all property. And finally, this, although you are approving this in March, but we want to make this change effective January 1, so that for the entire fiscal year, we have one threshold rather than up to March, we have this threshold, and after March, we have this threshold. So that's our request.
To go back to January.
January 1,
So they're
retroactive to make it for the full year.
Okay, so I'm gonna move around a little bit because he just introduced resolution number 1631 for the commissioners. So since he just gave a description, was there any questions for him? We can actually move forward with approving it. Needing a motion if there's no questions.
a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. So the resolution passes. Thank you, Chad. Do we have his finance report up or?
You want to do the finance report first, because we do have a few other resolutions. So
Okay, let's just do resolution time.
let's do.
Okay, so the next one is resolution 1632.
Okay, so this one is also one. So the agency's bylaws were last amended in August of 2015. So it has been over a decade that we have not updated the bylaws. And in the meantime, federal and state laws had changed, the public governance standards have changed, HUD's regulatory requirements have changed. So we did a very comprehensive review. We started first internally, and then once we had a draft, then we reached out to our legal counsel and they provided feedback. And based on that, there are about 15 amendments that are being made to the bylaws. The big ones I'll tell you, rather than going through all of them, is the biggest change is that the quorum is being reduced from 4 to 3 per the state law requirement. The commissioners are now being recognized as fiduciaries and as public officials. There is also new provisions regarding code of conduct and conflict of interest for both commissioners and the officers. Another change is that the resident commissioners, now it's required by federal law. So we'll change the language to include that as well. And finally, there were some outdated provisions about remote and hybrid meetings. It referred to attendance by telephone and all that. So we've updated that post-COVID because those things changed. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Approved. Okay, hearing none, I would need a motion for resolution 1632. Okay, do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Then the resolution passes. I'm gonna just stick with the resolutions if that's okay, everyone. Next we have resolution number 1633, revising section 8 housing choice voucher program utility allowances by Melanie.
Thank you. So each year, our utility allowances, we have a study done to indicate the rates and see how those have increased or decreased throughout the area. We partner with our neighboring housing authority, HESCO, and a company called NILRA to update these utility allowances. And if the amounts change by 10% or more, we are required to make these changes to our schedules. So this year, there were increases to the categories for natural gas, all gas propane, fuel oil, and sewer were the 4 that increased, and the rest stayed the same. And so those utility allowances have been revised with those new amounts. We have the utility allowance schedule in case anyone is interested in that. But at this time, we're just asking for approval Resolution 1633 to update those utility allowances for our clients.
So question would be allowance, how much did that increase?
So,
So sugar with booster percentage.
yeah, there was one that was right at 10%. If you hang on just a second, I can tell you exactly. Let me just get to that spot really quick. While I'm pulling that up, interestingly, last year, the fuel oil decreased by 17%, and it did increase again back up to 17% this year. So sorry, it's been a little slow. Okay. So the natural gas increased by 13%. The bottled gas propane was 10%. The fuel oil was 17%, and sewer went up by 14%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any further questions?
Thank you for that.
Yeah, why?
Yes, no, I was going.
I will need a motion for resolution number 16.
All motion.
Okay, let's do a second. All those in favor? Okay.
Aye.
And not hearing any against, so the resolution is forward. The last one we have is resolution number 1634, and it's revising section 8 housing choice voucher administration plan by Melanie as well.
Yes, thank you. So this is regarding those two MTW waivers that we had applied for at the end of last year that were approved now by HUD, and that was to exclude all student financial assistance that's coming into our assisted households, just to make that easier for our staff as a cost savings measure, so they're not spending too much time on that. And as well for our clients to be able to just keep a little bit of that money in their pocket as they go through their schooling and move towards self-sufficiency. The second one was for the project-based voucher mobility. So it's a two-piecer from where we have clients that are residing in our Everett Housing Authority owned project-based units that were under a RAD conversion, and those at Pivotal Point, which is a domestic violence unit where we get a lot of participants there. They're able to request their moving voucher after 12 months of successful completion in the program. And then all our other project-based units, so some with Everett Housing Authority and some with our partnering agencies, are now eligible to request those moving vouchers at 24 months of successful completion, which we're hoping will help provide more stability into their housing moving forward as they move and work with more private landlords under the Housing Choice Voucher Program. And so through the admin plan, there are many sections that needed to be updated to reflect these changes. So we updated section 3 regarding eligibility of student financial aid, section 6 also as an exclusion to the student financial assistance. Also section 7, which goes along with verifying that student's financial assistance. And then let's see, also there was just something that we also removed in chapter 7, which was removal of, we had a system called the work number, which we used previously to verify employment for our households. This was removed after the end of the contract that we had with the work number, since we decided it was costing too much to run these verifications. So another cost savings measure, we've taken that out, and we've found that there are other ways to verify this information that are at no cost. So that was just a little bit of a cleanup there in our admin plan. And then we updated as well chapter 12, which goes along with termination of assistance regarding students in financial assistance. Chapter 7 on the family right to move, that goes with the project-based and the time limits of the 12 and the 24 months, as well as also in chapter 18 with the project-based. assistance timelines. And then at the very end is our moving to work addendum table, which shows all of the moving to work waivers that we have been successfully awarded. And so at this point, the action is just to adopt the resolution 1634 so that we can move forward with that.
It's about doing. Any further questions from the commissioners? Okay,
Move for approval of resolution number 1634.
have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any against? Not hearing any, the resolution passes. Thanks. Now, before we get to the finance, report out, you had already showed us all the if I can talk, that'd be great. So I thought we would just go ahead and work with the consent agenda and have a single motion to approve it, and it consists of the minutes from February 23rd, 2025, the summary of disbursements, payroll, payment summary, 2026-02 payroll, third-party service, and the list goes on. It's on the agenda. So, any questions on that before I get a motion? Not hearing any, do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have approved consent agenda. Now we're ready for the finance reports. Yay. Yay.
We'll start from slide number 2 after this one. Okay, so there is not a lot to report. The operations generally have continued at a stable pace. We are really kind of in a break-even situation right now. The biggest development during and early February was that we received $750,000 from an investor, one of the tranches for the Madrona property or the Legacy LLC. This is not a surprise. This was already budgeted, but still it beefs up our financial strength, our cash position for that thing. Now the transaction is almost complete. Just one final tranche of 500,000 approximately is anticipated sometime in the summer, and that would be the last of those tranches. So we are looking forward to that. The second piece I've already covered. There are no material financial variances or significant report items. I will show you this, but I just wanted to put a summary here. As far as within our department, one thing is that Chelsea Davison, she has joined as a controller earlier this month. We are very excited to have her here, and this takes us close to being fully staffed. We just have one position vacant, which we also hope to fill within the month of April, and we're looking forward to that. But I want to spend most of our time giving an update on the SAO audit, the State Auditor General's Office. I'm pleased to report that the audits have been completed, and even delighted to report that we are getting clean reports on all the 4 reports. There are 4 reports. One is for the audited financial statements for the year ended June 30. But then there are additional reports, like there is an accountability audit, which every 2 years is required by the state of Washington, that the state laws and regulations are being complied with. So we're getting a clean report on that as well. Then there is a hard requirement for REACT submissions. There are some agreed upon procedures to be performed by Auditor General on those processes, and we're getting a clean report of that. And finally, the 4th report is the federal report for federal grant compliance, which is required by CFR and the Office of Management and Budget. What is even more impressive is that not only we are getting clean reports on these audits, but we are also not receiving any management letter comments. What is management letter comments? These are findings from the auditors which may not be so significant that need to be included in published reports, but at least they write a formal report to the commissioners and draw attention to those matters. So we are not receiving a management report, so there's nothing that is coming from commissioners' way. So I'm very glad about that as well. But I must say that it is a joint effort. It is not a finance department success. Every department, asset management, property management, resident services, HR, IT, rental assistance, everybody contributed. There were asks from all of those divisions. So it is a shared success, and I thank everybody for that.
Here, here,
Congratulations to you.
here, here.
But I do want to add something that while I'm very happy, but still there's a lot more work to be done. So we are currently in the process of an independent audit firm performing 7 audits on our tax credit properties, plus 2 audits on the 202s, which Kimberly is handling for this. And this is a lot of work, which is still in process, but we are confident that we'll get there too. That's one thing. But secondly, more importantly, we are transitioning, as I keep mentioning earlier, also from a fiscal year to a calendar. So the next report would be an 18-month period. And whenever you do a non-standard reporting period, then there are additional presentation and reporting requirements. And quite honestly, I've not dealt with those requirements in years. I was thinking maybe 18 or 19 years ago, I faced a similar situation. So I have to update my own knowledge and expertise on those things. And on top of this, there is a new GASB pronouncement, which is doing a major design of the local government financial presentation and reporting. So that is also would be applicable to that. So we have to research and learn those things as well. So a lot of work is ahead of us, but considering I already mentioned that we'll be fully staffed, so I am very confident that we are up for this challenge. Cool. So I think that's it. Now let me give you, this is very important to me that I closely monitor the cash position of the agency. And this is the same slide that I presented last time. I just added January and February to that. But just to refresh the memory, we were losing cash pretty steeply. And the reason I'm mentioning is that there's another slide which will explain the things. But then we took some measures, some things happened, like property was sold, there were some section 2 withdrawals, but now we are in a stable mode. You can see every month the cash remains same. It did go up in February, but I already explained to you why that happened, because we received the tranche. If we had not received the tranche, I excluded it just for my own day, then it would have continued at a straight line. It is a stable operation. But it does stretch the best well for some of the upcoming major expenses that are going to come up in the next few months, and we can cover them from this additional cash that we have received this injection. But going back to where we were and we are here, the next slide shows something which is a credit to the property management department, but I will present this slide more. And that is just one example of how we are doing cost control. So if you look at this slide, until we instituted reforms in August, September period, our overtime was running very high, 30,000, 40,000, 45,000. And I put the average, January to August of 2025, our monthly average overtime was running 37,000. And then property management department introduced reforms, cost control, greater oversight. And now you can see where it is. The second yellow line shows the average here, which is also shown at the bottom. It's 18,000. So it has been cut into half in these this period.
So question, so did the drop there coincide with the selling of that property?
No. So that property was a small property. It did not have any significant impact, and we didn't change the staffing because of that. Also, even the staffing realignment that we did, there was nothing in the maintenance staff. So this, and I'm sure Erica can explain this more because the what measures that they have taken. I see the numbers, but I give credit to Erica and her team for taking this reform very seriously and making dramatic improvements in our overtimes.
20,000 a lot. Good job. Good job.
And this is just one example. We are looking at cost controls in every area and trying to strengthen our efforts. These are the balance sheet numbers and these are as of January. They are not as of February because it takes time for us to close the books. So the February is still being closed, so I cannot present it. It's too soon. And I will present the quarterly report at the end of March when we do the next reporting. But these are the numbers, but nothing extraordinary stands out. There are changes. There will be month to month. Obviously, there will be some changes, but I have reviewed them and I do not see any significant changes. Things went up a little, down a little, but nothing stands out on both these sides. That's all. Any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
So we're not going into an executive session, so we don't need to reconvene from one. So now we're going to adjourn the meeting.
I have something.
Oh, you have something?
If I could bring us back to resolution, it's a 1632.
Okay.
Just to talk about some things that are in there that we want to
Oh,
discuss,
so you want to go,
just to talk about.
okay, into executive session?
No,
No.
just, it doesn't matter. Just want to highlight that the quorum changed and to 3
Oh,
and the standards of conduct, conflicts of interest, and ties into the mission orientation part at the bottom. I do believe that we should all be thoroughly trained on the conflict of interest part if we're going to be held accountable to it. So I request that as soon as possible. And then the quorum thing, on a personal note, kind of sucks because I hang out with Cynthia and Corin outside of this place. So that's an interesting quagmire. So anyway, just
I
bringing
think
it up.
if you're not talking about this place, then it's just 3 people hanging out.
Yeah, it's optics too, though.
Yeah.
So, so just want to flag that.
People ping together.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So like, no more text threads, 3 of us about other stuff. But I'd appreciate the training on that. That'd be great.
good point.
We can certainly set that up.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Now, before we adjourn the meeting, somebody tell me the date of the next meeting? Send it around.
Get to the, there's the first, all this laptops in the room.
Well, it was May 25th, but that is Memorial Day, right?
I think that's the 26th.
26 would be by, yeah, it's the 26th, according to Bosses.
May?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, the next meeting will be 26th of May. And do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
The motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
You say the next meeting, May 26th. Is there a issue getting the note out or the agenda out? Like I didn't see these.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
No, I didn't, you tried to, I would have read them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we should be getting those to.
Oh, did you?
Friday before at the latest.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. We'll make sure those go out.
Better.